Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
This is Colette Marie Stefan, and I'm filling in for Dr. Pat today on the Dr. Pat radio show, and it's my great pleasure to do so. Thank you, Pat, for the opportunity. I also have a radio show with Transformation Talk Radio. The Truth is Funny Shift Happens, and that's Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. Today, what we're going to be talking about is the path of community and the legacy of Ma Jaya. Kashi is an international community founded in 1976 by Brooklyn-born spiritual teacher Ma Jaya Sati Bhagavati. And Kashi's purpose is to awaken a radical awareness about one's spiritual self and the issues the world faces today. The community exemplifies the idea that all paths followed with an authentic heart lead to one's own God within. In 2012, Ma Jaya passed away and the community entered a new phase. My guest today is Jaya Priya Reinhalter, who was born and raised at Kashi in South Florida. Her academic work focused on international communities, and in 2013, she returned to Kashi to explore its continuing legacy. In 2014, Jaya was elected to Kashi's board of directors. She also acts as Kashi's director of global outreach and leads Kashi's youth network called Kashi Next Generation and is project manager for Kashi's Grow Kashi Capital campaign. Are you there, Jaya Priya?
I'm here.
Hi, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is very exciting for me because I really learned a lot from Ma and love to share her information with people. So I would just like for you to talk a little bit first here about Kashi and about growing up there and so just go for it here.
Okay, sure. So Kashi is an intentional community, sometimes also referred to as an ashram because of our leanings towards Hinduism, but really it's an interfaith community of many people of different faiths and paths. So it's really beautifully diverse. And it was founded, like you said, by Ma. I just refer to her as Ma, if that's okay.
That's perfect. It's easier for all of us.
Yes, exactly. So it was founded in 1976 by Ma. She had her own spiritual awakening in 1973, and just 3 years later came down to Florida in search of a piece of land that her and her students, which were multiplying quite quickly and were all around the United States, a place that they could all congregate together and really live in a daily way these teachings that they were imbibing from Ma, and create a community that reflected the values and the teachings that they were attempting to live in their own lives, and actually imbue a natural environment and an entire community of people with these teachings. And so that was what Kashi was born out of, was those intentions. And it's been here ever since. So we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year.
Wow, it's such a beautiful place. Maybe I'll just share with the listeners how I ended up knowing about Kashi and about Ma. I actually had met Ma in 2010, and I was going there out to Kashi with a different group. And really, I've never done yoga and grew or any of that, but the grounds were so lovely. And what I noticed right away stepping on those grounds is that, Ma, one of her teachings was that the only important religion is the religion of kindness. And I noticed that, the entire grounds embraced all religions, embraced people from all different walks of life, sex. It was very, very uplifting for me to be there. And it's such a beautiful place. And, when I met Ma, I was so impressed because she could drop an entire room into deep meditation in seconds. But she always knew how far to take each person, basically. And I was very, very impressed by her, and came out to Kashi, a couple times. And then my mom was passing in 2011. My mom passed in January of that year. And the ashram prayed for my mom while she was making her transition. And I was so grateful. And I went out after that. I tried to get out there at least once a year and just thank them. And, so Ma's teachings and her ability to share her information was so profound for me. And, do you want to talk a little bit more about what it was like for you being there?
Sure. So just a little bit of background is that I was actually born into the community in 1987. So pre-1987, I don't have a lot of personal context for, except for all of the stories that I've heard growing up here. But I do know that, in the late 80s and the 90s, really, when I was growing up, the community had become very, very active in terms of social justice-related issues, and Ma had kind of encouraged the community into this very alive spirituality that was alive with activism, and it seemed like almost an attempt to translate the light that had been incubated here for, the decade prior to that, to actually then say, okay, now it's time that we take this into the world. And so Ma was very skilled at responding to the needs of the times. So, Kashi's activism really changed a lot over those years, depending on, what was the really potent need around us during that time. So at the time that I was growing up, the AIDS virus was really in its stage when there was still a lot of stigma around it and a lot of homophobia. Kashi is in Florida, so being in the South, naturally, there's a lot of backwards thinking in terms of, gender and sexuality and at that time AIDS specifically. So a lot of people were being abandoned by their communities and by their families, and Ma basically opened the doors of Kashi to anyone and everyone who needed a home, and they really started to come in droves. And it was these people who, at the time we had no cure for the AIDS virus, so they were really coming to die. And ironically, similar to the way that Kashi in India, are the other name being Varanasi, just an alias for the same place, is like a destination that pilgrims go to die. Kashi in Florida suddenly had become a reflection of this for people dying of AIDS. And so we opened 2 hospices, one being for adults dying with AIDS and another being for babies. And I think that for me, growing up just as a child, just kind of barely coming into the world and yet having death all around me, and having a teacher who demanded that you overcome your fear of death and that you hold a dying person's hand as they're taking their last breaths, and you cannot be afraid to touch and to kiss them, even though, their body may be covered in sores and things that, to our eyes are a little bit scary. As a child, the lessons, I think, that were instilled still carry me today in such profound ways and create a sense of life is important, and even as a child, you're not taking the fact that you have life for granted, and that was a really powerful experience.
That
I could go on and on about growing up here, so you should probably direct me a little.
Well, we do have to take a break in a minute here, but that is so that was the essence of Ma, fearless, and to to be there for those people that everybody else was shunning. And I think that's just so beautiful. And what probably a challenging experience as a young child, and also a very beautiful one with so many profound life lessons, which we'll talk about when we come back after the break here. You're listening to Colette Marie Stefan, and I am filling in for Dr. Pat on the Dr. Pat Show. My guest today is Jaya Priya, and we are talking about Kashi and the legacy of Ma, and we will be right back right after this short break.
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Tune in to the Angels and Answers Psychic Radio Show with clairvoyants Artie Hoffman and Sky Siegel every Thursday for a 2-hour show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio. Artie and Sky deliver spiritual and motivational messages with passion and a sense of humor. Call in 800-930-2819 for live and on-air readings. Visit artiehoffman.com and skyofangels.com.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in to Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Almost everyone at some time in their lives ask themselves, what am I? Most of our questions are ego-generated and simply don't address the problem of our false self. It's time to relax your ego and embody your soul. Dr. Dan Cohen, neurologist, inventor, and author, has created tools to awaken, a new way to transform from who you thought you were into what you truly are. Visit toolstoawaken.com today.
so that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself and I didn't know I was.
This is Colette Marie Stefan. I'm filling in for Dr. Pat today, and I've got Jaya Priya here with me. And Jaya, we were just talking before the break about your experience growing up at Kashi and about Ma and all of the people that I just love this, how she empowered people to die with dignity and with love and with caring when other people didn't want to have anything to do with them. And we were just talking about your experience of that. Ma passed on in 2012. And do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I guess that I'll share a little bit about what I was doing at the time, and I guess why that moment, particularly in time, has impacted me today. In 2012, I had actually just moved back to Kashi. I had, gone away to university, finished my BA, and lived in Washington, D.C. for a few years, working in different jobs, trying to find myself and what I wanted to do with my life, and had really come to this large awareness that I wanted my spiritual teacher back in my life in a very active way, and that I was feeling a bit disillusioned with the world, and in particular Washington, D.C., where the seat of power really lays, and I was desperate for something different. And so I moved home and dropped everything in my life to be here. And about 2 weeks after arriving on the soil of Kashi, Ma was diagnosed with cancer, and just 3 months after that, she passed away. So it was really like my whole world had been kind of ripped out from underneath me all at once.
I understand that, because when my mom was making her transition, I said to a friend of mine, I don't have my mom on this earth anymore, but at least I have Ma. And I found out the next day also. And I was very sad.
Wow.
Because I was really, her essence was just so beautiful. And I had such powerful experiences with Ma. And I just thought I might share this experience I had with Ma. Is, after my mom passed, I went out about a month later, I guess, to go in and thank Ma and thank the community. And they have darshan, which is when Ma speaks, and the little kids get to go up first. But I was so excited to see Ma that I accidentally went up with the little kids. And Ma was so beautiful. She hugged me and pressed her third eye to mine and gave me a lollipop along with the other little kids. And I went back to sit in my seat, and later that night I woke up, and my where my third eye was, it was like a goose egg. It looked like someone had taken a hammer. And I was like, because I do all this energy work, I was testing, is this physical or non-physical? And it was non-physical. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be okay with this. And the next day when I went for breakfast, I just told everybody, don't panic, it's not physical. And it lasted for about a good 24 hours. And it was basically, a lot of information pouring in for me, and a lot of love pouring into me, actually, also. And that's partly, because Ma understood how sad I was that my mom had passed. And so, this is the beauty of her and her work. And I know for you that being raised with that, I just want to, what is it like for you now?
That was a great story. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and a good question, too. I think, firstly, as you can imagine, an entire community of people that extends beyond the physical community in Florida. This is a satsang, we call it, a spiritual community of thousands of people, that are really around the world. And for all of us having experiences like you just talked about, with this very special person in our lives, to have them ripped out of our lives at a time that felt way too early and very, very fast was quite traumatic. For me personally, at the time, I actually had already decided before she passed away that I would go away again and I would do a master's degree. And I had a whole vision of what I would be studying and, what my passions were and my purpose in the world. And naturally, as soon as I left, I went to this master's program in Hawaii. So I left Kashi and went to Hawaii and found myself, sort of alone and abandoned on this island in the middle of the Pacific. And all of the things that I hadn't dealt with, all of my grief for Ma's passing and my grief for the world in general came surging in a way that I had never experienced in my life before. And I really went through a a rapid dying period where it literally felt like just dying from the inside out. And it was one of the most painful times in my life, but also one of the most beautiful. And what happened in that time was I experienced, for the first time in my life, coming from community and being so loved and held my entire life, now I'm experiencing the depths of loneliness and what really felt like a darkness I had never known in my life, and feeling isolated and alone. And I started to open up to everyone around me about this because I didn't know what to do. I was so desperate for a connection. And what I found was everyone around me was feeling the same way. Now, I was experiencing it maybe in a little bit more of a potent way at that time, but the truth was that at all of my peers' core, they were deeply suffering from this feeling of aloneness and lack of connection, real, genuine connection to people in their lives, and really feeling abandoned by their world. And at the same time, I started to have these visions, both lucid dreams, but also nighttime dreams, of Kashi, this community, growing into something that was a beacon of connection and interconnectedness in our world that could hold a light of a common humanity that we all share, that the world so desperately needs. And so in these visions, I was having all of these ideas of how that could actually take physical shape in the body of a community. And so I quickly changed all of my study plans to study intentional communities, because what I knew in my heart, I didn't understand intellectually and in my head, and I needed to understand it so that I could sort of will that deep knowing that was in my heart, will it into the realm of my mind so that I could share it with others and speak in the way that I'm speaking to you now about this. And so I spent the next 2 years studying communities, and I studied Kashi as one of my sites of interest, and then some others actually around the world. And soon after I finished, moved right back to Kashi to actually see these visions through, and that's where I am now.
I love it. You have so much of that beautiful energy of caring. And, you were talking to me about, community becoming the teacher after the passing of the Guru. And you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is something that's been really present for me since Ma's passing, because I use a metaphor often to describe this to people, but you can imagine that if Kashi is a solar system, then Ma was the sun in this solar system, the center of gravity, this incredible bright light that all the planets are looking towards. And this sun is then ripped out of your solar system, and all of a sudden you have no one to look at but each other. And you have this other view of one another that you couldn't see before because there was this bright light in the middle of all of it, blocking you from being able to see with clarity the other planets in your solar system. And Ma in particular had a real way of teaching that was very individual and personalized. And she used to always say, one chela, which means student, and one guru. So it was very direct, one-on-one teaching. And it served its time. It certainly had its place and a tremendous value and changed people's lives dramatically. But when that time was up, that time is up. And so the question is, okay, what's next? And what I found to be one of the most beautiful things is that now we're entering a time where we have to look towards the community as the teacher. And sort of, if you think of it on an evolutionary scale, you start with the parent, which could maybe be, Ma, and then you leave the house or the parent dies, whatever that is, and you have your community then to look towards. And eventually, on this scale of evolution, you eventually want to understand that everything you need lies within yourself. But as a community, I think Kashi and the world actually is in this place where we desperately need to reconnect to one another and look towards community as our teacher, and move away from this very isolating individualism, particularly in Western society, that has disconnected us so deeply, not only from one another, but from our natural environment, from all things that are living. And we need to reclaim this connection. And to me, one of the most powerful ways to reclaim this connection is to actually see the tremendous value in the humanity around you and look towards it as your teacher. If we can't honor each other in that way and see each other as our teachers, then reclaiming this deep connection and interconnectedness that is really the truth, I don't see a lot of hope for that. So what I'm hoping to see in Kashi is that we are able to see one another as the teacher and understand that Ma's teachings now live in the body of this community and in the grass that we walk on and in the systems through which we interact with each other and the choices we make when we speak to one another and the kindness we show one another.
I love that, Jaya Priya. We have to take a quick break here. And, you just said that so beautifully. And I just wanted you to just share your contact information quickly, if you could, with people if they want to reach you to find out what Kashi's doing.
Sure. The best website probably to go to would be called Grow Kashi, GROW Kashi, KASHI.com, or Kashi.org. My contact info is my first and last name, Jaya, Jaya, Reinhalter, REINHALTER @gmail.com.
Awesome. This is Colette Marie Stefan. You are listening to the Dr. Pat Show. I'm stepping in for her today, and we will be right back after this short break.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine. Have you ever said to yourself, what is this mess I'm in? Believe it or not, part of us wants it. We have asked for deeper work, to understand love, to step into our power, to choose differently. Then when we start engineering the circumstances, we want to control how it unfolds. Let's be honest. It's like asking the universe to help you create something, then saying, well, not like that. I want you to do it this way. If you are ready to shift into your best life, visit lesliefontaine.com and let's talk about unfolding all that you want to be, do, and have. You'll find sessions, classes, and audio products to help remove the blocks and move you into your potential. And listen to my show, Sheer Alchemy, on Transformation Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
Francine Vale is a being of light. She believes that all people of planet Earth are as well. As co-host of the Angel Healer radio show, Francine teaches you heart-centered ways to manifest healing on your own behalf and how to integrate love more fully into your daily life. Connect with your angels as you find your life flowing with ease and harmony. Walk the path of light with Francine and Dr. Pat Basili every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Have you ever tried to make lifestyle changes but had difficulty following through? Imagine what it would be like to get up each morning with energy, clarity, and motivation to tackle the day. If you want to get past limiting barriers that are preventing you from living your best life, join holistic health and wellness coach T. Carrie Mitchell each month on the Dr. Pat Show. Or visit lifestyle120.com today and start to receive the personal attention you deserve.
Get into it for 2016. Do you want more prosperity, clarity, energy, and balance in your life? Join Lynn Brown now for one of her amazing workshops, each focusing on a key part of living your best life. For more information and to register for one of these amazing workshops, visit lynnbrownevent.com. That's lynnbrownevent.com. And get into it this 2016 with Lynn Brown.
Loving can hurt. Loving can hurt sometimes. But it's the only thing that I know.
This is Colette Marie Stefan filling in for Dr. Pat today. I have Jaya Priya here with me today, and we've been talking about Ma Jaya Sati Bhagavati, who is a spiritual teacher. And I just wanted to mention that Ma's book, The 11 Karmic Spaces, is available at Amazon, and you can find her book. It's a beautiful book about karma and what role it plays in everyday lives. And that in this book, she teaches that through awareness, intuition, and grace, it is possible to choose freedom from karma. Ma was also a very prolific painter, a prolific poet, and also was the creator of Kalinatha Yoga, which people can go to Kashi.org if you want to find out more information about that. Jaya Priya and I were just speaking about and talking about her experience growing up there and about community. And so I would like to let you finish talking about what you feel community is and why it's so important. And you said it so eloquently before the break. Just elaborate some more.
Sure. Before the break, I was talking quite a bit about using the community as a teacher and really as a spiritual teacher and a guide. And I think on the other side of that, beyond just what a community is for your personal use, also is what communities like this where people live communally and around a very intentional set of values and a mission towards both self and human evolution. I think there's a tremendous role that they have to play in the future of our world, particularly in a world that has become so deeply disconnected. And mostly when I say that, I'm referencing the Western world. I've had different experiences in other parts of our world. But I think that there's something fundamental, firstly, about our own ability to grow that plays into being a part of a community where what I saw in myself is that my own limitations outside of a community were greatly enhanced, and when I have a support system beneath me and there's a fundamental sense that I am loved, there's a knowing in my core that I am loved. And I don't mean that there isn't conflict in my life and there isn't hardship and I'm not, having fights and all of these kind of human things we go through in relationships. But
that's the human condition, isn't it?
It certainly is, right? And sometimes I think that people think that these communities have an idea that we can overcome all of that, and there's this utopian idea about paradise. But any community like this, we are microcosms. We have all of the world's problems in one tight space. So if anything, everything is pronounced, both love and pain. But the beauty of it is, and this is what I find to be the most important element, is that on a fundamental base level, there is this sense that I am loved, and that if anything were to happen to me, I'm surrounded by this community of human beings who would be there for me. And somehow that simple knowing makes everything else in life seem so much more possible. And so going out, when I travel or go into the world or go into very difficult situations and face pain and darkness and the grotesqueness that our world can possess, I'm able to do that because on a fundamental level, I have this light that's carried with me that was really shaped and built by this community and this love that it has given me. And so, I think a lot about other other teachings who understand this really well, one being, the Buddhists who talk about the 3 jewels of Buddhism, that they say, there's the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the Sangha is your spiritual community. And these are the 3 things that you seek refuge in your practice. And the fact that they have the Sangha laying on the same plane as your Dharma, your path, and the Buddha, your teacher, is such a significant teaching to me that I found to be true in my own life, where truly this spiritual community does lay in equal importance with those 2 things. My path and my ability to follow the teacher along that path is made possible by those who stand behind me and underneath me and love me. And that's really the role of community that I see. And you can even, I was the other day looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and thinking about how, on the fundamental level, the base level, you have your psychological needs need to be met. And then the next one is your safety needs. Your very basic, those are your kind of survival needs, need to be met in order for you to evolve. But on the 3rd tier, right there is this tier of love and belonging. And belonging, to me, really meaning that sense of community and the love that surrounds you when you are in community. And without that, you can't even begin to escalate into the realm of what follows that, which is esteem and then self-actualization. So esteem and self-actualization become possible because of the love and belonging. And that's where I see community coming in.
That's just beautifully said, and from Ma's teachings also, I learned that, she would say you have to feed people their physical bodies so that they can focus on their spirituality. And that's kind of another, when you have community means that, on a higher level for me, that we are all connected. I've traveled around the globe searching for, information around this, like how is it we're all connected? And that had led me to the Resonance Project Foundation and studying with Nassim Haramein, who's a physicist, because I wanted to understand what is it? People always say we're all connected, but sometimes these days it can really feel like we're not. Even though we have the internet and we have better technology to connect with people, it seems almost like the technology has become more important than the people at times. And and you see a lot of people wandering around looking at their cell phones or sitting at restaurants and they're all on their cell phones, or they're at the beach and they're on their cell phones. Mm-hmm. And I always think, we are all connected because we're all made up of atoms on the physical plane. And because of that, when we have a thought, our thoughts are shared with everyone. And so the more that people allow themselves to receive love from others and to give love to others, that is what allows us. And I'm not talking about the kind of love that sometimes people talk about where it's, not really, it's not unconditional. I'm talking about divine love, like our very essence of our being. And, for you, you're very young to be doing this kind of, I'm going to say, heavy work. What's that like for you?
I guess I don't tend to think in those terms, and maybe that's what makes it okay. But I feel just so. The truth is, I feel the happiest I've ever been doing this work, and the most inspired I've ever been, because truly, I think we're pretty much all aware that having a sense of deep purpose in your life that extends beyond your own immediate needs, but actually impacts human life around you is a very important thing. And I definitely see how communities such as this play a role in enhancing the human experience all around me. And I do think, to kind of piggyback onto what you said about the technology piece, there's lots of talk about how we're more connected than ever because of technology, but I think that the role that places like Kashi have to play, as intentional communities that are place-based, where there is physical intimacy and contact, and there is this whole group of people tightly in your space, acting as mirrors to all of your own stuff all the time. It's like you cannot get away. You're constantly having a flashlight shown onto your, every ounce of your being. You not only have to look at it, but everyone around you is looking at it. The potential for connection and intimacy in that kind of environment is so profound that you can't get that through technological connection. You can't get that on Facebook. And so for me, part of the passion behind better understanding these intentional communities like Kashi is, what is that role? What role do they have in creating spaces for people to experience true intimacy and connection in a way that can often be deeply uncomfortable? Yes, absolutely.
We have to take another quick break here, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about this. This is Colette Marie Stefan filling in for Dr. Pat. You can reach me at thetruthisfunny.com. You can reach me at energeticupgrade.com. Tails, Tails, from thevector.com, and also on all Facebook media, Twitter, etc. at The Truth is Funny with Colette. So we'll be right back after this short break, and we'll do our last segment here and talk some more about community. Thank you, Jaya.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
In retirement, will you have enough money to live life on your terms? Everyone has retirement questions. Ask Ameriprise financial advisor Jeff Packman about the new Confident Retirement Approach. You and Jeff can break down retirement planning step by step to get the real answers you need. In fact, 93% of clients who've had the Confident Retirement Approach conversation feel more confident about their retirement. Call Jeff Packman, financial advisor, at 425-453-0272 for your Confident Retirement conversation today. Office is located at 601 108th Avenue Northeast, Suite 1800, Bellevue, Washington, 98004. Percentage based on Ameriprise Financial Confident Retirement Client Survey as of December 2013. The Confident Retirement Approach is not a guarantee of future financial results. Investment advisory products and services are made available through Ameriprise Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisor, Ameriprise Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
This is Colette Marie Stefan filling in for Dr. Pat on the Dr. Pat Show, and I have Jaya Priya Reinhold with me here today. We've been talking about community, about the power of each of us as individuals, and how challenging that can be sometimes to live in community and face the mirror, basically, of what's going on deep within ourselves. Jaya Priya, do you want to just address that a little bit more? You were saying that, everybody is mirroring back to you. Do you want to explain that to people?
Sure. I guess, the way I think of it is, I'll give an example, in my own life, I live in a communal home with a large variety of people from different ages and sexes and backgrounds and faiths, and we live in very close quarters. And you have some personal space, but it's extremely limited, and a lot of the things that we do together, we do communally, and that's a very intentional choice, really, that I see is based on this commitment to seeing yourself honestly, acknowledging that we truly can't grow unless we're able to look at ourselves with honesty. And for me, personally, I'll try and just speak for myself. The most powerful tool for me to see myself honestly is seeing myself reflected in others and what they reflect back to me. Because oftentimes I can get in my own hamster wheel in my head and have all sorts of ideas about who I am and how I'm showing up in the world and what I believe, and yet there's nothing that challenges those ideas about myself in the way that community does, when it's really surrounding you all the time in such a potent and tight way. And I remember Ma used to talk about, and I've actually heard this phrase in other communities as well, that it's like being in a rock tumbler, that shine one another as they tumble against
beautiful.
one another, and so they're rubbing against one another constantly, and obviously that can be deeply uncomfortable. But what they're doing is they're also shining the edges, they're smoothing the edges, and you're becoming brighter and brighter and smoother and softer. And they're eventually, when they're completely worn down, they just sort of gently rub against one another. There's no pointy edges that are poking each other. And this is kind of my metaphorical experience in community. So that was what I was trying to explain.
Yeah. A lot of times when we are in relationships, we're in relationships with our physical environment, we're in relationships with money, we're in relationships with people, and the people that we live with have a tendency to show us who we really are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that mirror can be challenging to look at. But, if you're going to meditate and sit in a cave, for your whole life, and it's that's challenging in its own being, but you get used to it after a while. When you're out there in the real world, dealing with, jobs and money and children and family and, all the things that are going on, it's important to stay present within yourself. And a lot of people are very busy, just in our society now, running and go. And this is what is such a beautiful thing, is that we can be in a place where we recognize that that people are actually reflecting back to us, as you said, mirroring what we are really about. And when you're in a community like that, you have lots of people to do that with, right?
Yes, you do. And you know what I was thinking when you were speaking is, I often hear, when I'm outside of Kashi at least, people ask me questions about this kind of community, and they have these ideas about these communities that is as if, people go to them to escape the world. And I think what's really key to understanding these kinds of communities, and I'm sure there's exceptions to this, but at least to the ones that I spend time in fact, they're, like I said earlier, just these microcosms of the world that in many ways are even more potent, both in love and pain. But the opportunity that gives us is a safe container to actually work with all of the material of the world and do it in an intentional way, and in a way that is based on a foundation of love. So it's safe to actually go to places together that you might not otherwise go with other people out in the world, because there isn't that shared foundation of love and trust. But when you're in this kind of container, your ability to explore the potential of human connection and intimacy and collective spiritual evolution is so much more powerful because of that safe container. So these places are really kind of like these spiritual laboratories.
That's a good way to put it.
yeah. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. If we truly take advantage of its full potential, I just think it's a phenomenal possibility what we have.
Yeah, and when your soul is calling, that comes from your heart. And when we follow our heart, we have to use our logic also, of course, to take consistent steps of action to survive in this world and to thrive in this world. And, at the same time, when you decide and you make a choice for yourself that your soul's journey is important, it will lead you to places where you maybe would not have the courage to go. And I can speak to that myself, on my journey here. I've been very blessed to have amazing mentors, and, a lot of times I do a lot of energetic work, and a lot of times people are looking for a magic pill where all of a sudden, everything just goes perfect. And that's not real life. We came here to experience life. And I find that it's most pleasant for people, most empowering, if we don't judge what's happening as good or bad so much, but as an experience that we're going through, and then allow ourselves to, to move into that. We've basically running out of time. I just would like for you to share, a last minute or so of what you would like to really leave the people with here today.
Oh, wow. Sure. So I don't know quite exactly how to capture it, except for, to say to you, firstly, thank you for letting me share my heart, because this really is not something I would call my work, but it's truly my life. And it feels very vulnerable and intimate.
You have a beautiful heart, and it's my pleasure.
Thank you. And I would like to say, that of course, anybody who's listening, if they have any interest, you are welcome to visit us in Florida and escape the cold if you're in the north, or whatever it is. We're open to visitors all the time. And
share your contact information with us one more time.
Sure, yeah. My personal email is my first and last name, Jaya, Jaya, last name Reinhalter, ReinHalter, @gmail.com. And then our two websites are either kashi.org, and Kashi is spelled Kashi, or growkashi.com.
Awesome. And, I want to thank you so much for all your beautiful words. And, as I said, you may not realize it, but you are give so many people so much joy when we see the following generations, stepping up in this beautiful way. So I really want to thank you for that. This is Colette Marie Stefan. I've been filling in for Dr. Pat. You can reach me on thetruthisfunny.com, energeticupgrade.com, and also Tails, Tails, from thevector.com. And I just want to thank Dr. Pat and all of her listeners, and also Benny. Thank you very much for providing us with this opportunity to share this information, and look forward to doing it again. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Pat.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.